let's kick in this first Munch and Learn. Today, I'm very pleased to have Don Wake with us. He's going to be delivering the session on using HPE GreenLake to build a private cloud. So on top of that, if you follow Don on LinkedIn, you probably saw that he's also talked about juggling and all sorts of wizardry that we're interested to see. So let's wait until the end of the session for the fun part. With me today is Fred, who is going to be helping with the chat and the Q&A. And before I hand over to Don, let me just go through a few items that I usually cover. So most of you probably know that by heart, but there's some new stuff on the first slide. So first of all, as I said, this is a Munch and Learn program. This is a monthly talk that we do. We started this a couple of years ago now. It's really about having some leaders from HPE talk about vendor and product agnostic things, thought leadership topics and trends in the industry. For February, we have a session that was just finalized yesterday about secure AI adoption for all. So I think it's going to be an interesting session. It's delivered by three persons from the HPE Office of the CTO, Glenn, Tom, and Zad. So I know Fred will probably put in the Q&A the links to those sessions. Feel free to register. The page is already in place on our Munch and Learn calendar page. This is also where you'll find in a few days the replay for this session. We put the replay of all our sessions on YouTube, so you can find the recording there for the previous session, including that one, let's say maximum 1 week. Beside the Munch and Learn, we also have another technical webinar program called the Meetups. Again, virtual using Zoom again, and this where we go into more maybe in-depth on a particular technology, open source or not, but we dive into a particular topic from HPE or from partners. We had a few sessions from Red Hat, from other partners, and we have two sessions for January and for February. January is next week. It's going to be about Compute Ops Manager API, Compute Ops Management API. And if you don't know anything about these APIs from COM, then feel free to join us there. The link is available on the Meetup page, and I think Fred will also copy that in the Q&A. And we have a session for late February on a similar topic on Aruba Central Automation. And this is going to be the API for using Aruba Central. And this is delivered by Alvin and Kartik from the HPE Aruba team. We have also in the March timeframe a topic on storage, but it's on the web already, but we are refining the topic. So hold on a little bit before you register for that one. It might not be a block storage. It might be a little more on backup and recovery. So we might change the title in the next few days. This is all available. Again, on the Meetup page, you'll find the replay of all our sessions. On top of that, there's a number of other things that you might consider for skilling up, and we actually put it on the Skill Up page on our website. This is what we call the workshops on demand, and you can find the page with all the catalog of available workshops today, more than 30. These workshops are all delivered with the same user experience. We use Jupyter Notebook for that. It's available 24/7 for anyone, and it's free. So give it a try. Give us some feedback, what you like, what you didn't like, what you would like to see that we don't have in the catalog. That's always helpful. Finally, this is a community, so we need you to help contribute and amplify. So if you know our talks and you like them, you can invite other people to join. That's always good. We have a newsletter that we send at the beginning of every month to keep up to date with some of these talks and some of the blogs. You can join that and you can sign up on that link here. We also have a dedicated Slack with partner customers and HPE, of course, people for you to engage in discussions on particular topics. We have more or less one channel per topic covered on the website. So you can engage there, ask questions, provide responses. That's always good. We have a Twitter X account, sorry, now it's called HPE_developer. Now, if you're a SME, subject matter expert, we'd like you to consider writing blogs. This is always something that we like to expose. So we have a dedicated page for that where we explain how you can do that. Our website is based on open source technology, and more or less in a week, we can turn something into a live blog on the platform. You can also reach out to us to deliver a meetup like Don is doing today, or Munch and Learn, and participate at events when we go and have events, for example, at HP Discover. And you can also propose or help build a workshop on demand. If you think we have a gap in the catalog, feel free to join us. That's it for me. The links for all the things I talked about are on this page. You can also scan that QR code to get all the links at once. We also have an internal Slack Ask HP Dev community. If you want to join that, that's always good. And the rest of the links I think I talked about. We have a group, Yammer group still for Tech Pro for partners. And I know that some of you are here today, so thanks a lot. And with that, I will hand over to Don for the real content of that session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Didier. So hi, I'm Don Wake, Solutions Architect on the HPE GreenLake Edge to Cloud platform. So I've been working on the platform the last couple of years, been at HPE coming on 4 years or so. So I wanted to talk to you today about building a private cloud, using that platform, and show you how to use some of our RESTful APIs as well to automate that. So this is our agenda. We'll go through the platform overview. We'll describe a platform, basically a customer scenario, go through a demonstration. I have a couple ways I'm going to demonstrate it. I have a few things that I've got in a click through kind of offline, but I'm also going to go on the online live portal as well and show you some live API, how to get API set up. And then for real deep dive on API, you could check out the Munch and Learn that was done by my colleague Pallavi Pathak and DDA and Denny Chacron just a few weeks ago. So look for that on the portal if you really want to dive deep into API. But this is sort of a, hey, how would you view the platform from a solutions perspective? And why is there a platform? So the first couple slides here, you may have seen these. I promise not to go too marketing here, but this is just to give you an idea of what framework, what frame of mind you should be having when you're talking about the platform. We're talking about customers' needs that are in a hybrid cloud environment. Some have data centers and co-locations. Some customers, or most, maybe all customers, have some data at the edge, whether they're getting point of sale data, whether it's edge data for whatever scientific project or Internet of Things. They are probably running AI and ML in clusters, possibly on public clouds. Some stuff they want to move into private clouds. And all this stuff is everywhere. It's all data. And this hits across all different verticals like I've outlined here at the bottom. So what are our customers telling us they need in this hybrid cloud environment? And keep that, I'd say that's a theme of why we have the platform, is to help support our customers, not only with HPE gear and HPE cloud services, but also allow them to monitor and manage non-HPE gear and cloud services that aren't in our cloud, maybe on a public cloud. They want that same experience in a unified, completely visible. They want to be able to set up workflows, and they want to be able to extend it. Extensibility and API and automation all go together there. So wrap all of that around this this pancake chart here that shows at the bottom the GreenLake Cloud platform. And on that are, if you have a traditional kind of data center centric, I want to manage my own networking, compute, and storage, I can do that on the platform. I can buy subscriptions to manage my compute. If I've already got compute and I wasn't using the platform, you certainly can do that. And storage and networking, so your Aruba and your compute and your storage all in one place with that unified experience, all secure, elastic, open, partner enabled. We live through our partners. They enable our customers. We enable our partners. And all of the data management services that you need to manage all of these things and run things like with the ops ramp that we'll talk a little bit about, that has, AI automation built into its operations management software that allows you to go out there and pull together and generate information on a very powerful scale to help you run this huge and disparate IT environment. So that's the end of my marketing pitch. What's the architecture like here? So when we talk about the platform, what I like to point out is the HPE GreenLake Edge to Cloud platform is a cloud system deployed in multiple geographic regions. So of course, when you log in, you're on a cloud system. What I've depicted here in the center, so you've logged into hpe.com, you're on the GreenLake platform, you open the web console. At this point, you can create workspaces, which we'll get into in a second. But you are in a cloud system that is in multiple regions. You have an active and a standby region. So it's highly available. It is enabled with all of these common services that, whether you don't have to deploy these, for example, in a given workspace, which we'll talk about. These are things you can do no matter what. You can onboard your devices. You have subscription management, authorization for fine-grained control over what your users can do. You can connect up to your own identity provider, unified support and case management directly on the platform. Notifications, of course, of anything going wrong or anything you want to be alerted to. Audit logs for that same purpose, what's changing. And we're going to demonstrate that via API so you can programmatically do these things. So a cloud scale platform with cloud scale tools, all of that interfacing with HPE's subscription management, your support. Of course, you have to have global trade compliance so that everything that goes through the platform is checked and secure. And we're connected directly up to our software supply chain. So it's a unified central control plane. And here's another level down. So now I'm a customer or a partner or a managed service provider, and I want to organize my hardware into these cloud workspaces. So I'm in the platform with, say I'm an IT administrator for a company, and I've purchased storage and compute. Maybe I have that regionally deployed. I create a workspace. I onboard those devices and the subscriptions to manage those devices. And I can connect up to my API and my federated identity provider like an Okta. I can have my servers in a colo on premise. I can have them in my own data center. And you've also got access to your Flex solutions. So if you're simply buying, as you have for years, in a consumption model, you have access to that and the consumption analytics that have been going along with that for a long time. And so that's like one workspace. But as a customer, you could have another workspace. Maybe it's just networking focused and compute. And in both cases, you have different users. You could have one user that has authorization to both workspaces, or you could have them very specific to workspaces. And within the workspace, maybe a user A could only access compute ops management. So fine-grained control, least amount of privileges to do your job, all at the control of you as the IT administrator, the customer. And of course, as I mentioned, I'm only showing the things they deployed and are kind of caring about in this particular workspace. But keep in mind this previous slide, where they have all of these common services always available. That's the core common value proposition of the platform and the architecture. So this would be the web console, and this is where we'll spend the majority of our time for the rest of this meeting, kind of going through a customer scenario, how they would use this platform. So what is this scenario? Oh, and I think I'll take a pause right now and just, what is everybody eating? So this is a munch and learn. I forgot to kind of bring this up. Maybe you could say in the chat or something, just to make sure you're paying attention. I have pretzels, I got apple slices and some grapes. It's leftovers my son didn't eat for breakfast. And I also have some coffee, so I'm drinking some coffee. And I have some water. Shante has toast, apple slices, so Lino. I got water, raspberry, nothing yet, but send me some coffee, like this person. All right, fasting, good for you. I need to do a lot of that, according to my doctor. Eggs and cheese on toast, that's classic. Cheese, absolutely. Oh, it's early in Alaska. Born and raised in Alaska. Awesome. Yeah, I grew up in Anchorage. Okay, I think I've wasted enough time, but keep those participations going. Oh, one question for you, Don, from Fred. He's one of the guys running this thing. You want to just come off mute and ask me, Fred, or Should I barrel ahead? Oh, check
Uh,
Q&A. One question, meaning go look at the questions. Okay. Is it possible to use multi-region workspaces to manage a diversely wide geographical on-premise data center? Okay, so is it possible to use, and you can come off mute, I believe, Ronald, if when you want to have some back and forth, multi-region workspaces. So yeah, we'll get into that. When each workspace, and in fact, the workspace I'm going to be demonstrating has some hardware in Geneva, Switzerland, in one of our CIC labs. There's some hardware in Houston, but it's one workspace. Really, the fact that you're in one region or another doesn't matter where your hardware is. It can be anywhere. You're just connecting it over the common cloud interface. So hopefully that answers your question. And we'll jump into that. Raw salmon with honey ginger. Teriyaki, man. Okay, I love all those things. Okay, so solution scenario. So we got private cloud management. What does that mean? So we have a customer, so we're going to talk about this workspace, your name here sort of thing, right? This is where you are customizing the experience for you. You want to have visibility and control of your hardware and software and subscriptions alongside public cloud resources. So what does that mean? So remember, we talked about in the architecture, the device inventory. So you're going to be utilizing that built-in service. You're going to be utilizing subscription management so you can activate and refresh your subscriptions even on an automated way. You want to look at your compute resources, your networking resources, ops ramp. So remember, I'm putting on the hat now of what would I do as a customer for this company. Ops ramp is going to allow me to look at not just HPE hardware, but also other deployed software and cloud resources. We'll show a little bit of that. I need my storage, my data services for standard storage things, and then also deploying VM resources. So there's this very cool feature we're going to talk about today where you can have Private Cloud Business Edition on top of your HPE array, and you can do VM on your private cloud. So this is sort of the meat of building your private cloud. RESTful API commands. So obviously you're going to use that core service for API for programmatic control and management, and fine-grained role-based access control. So and finally, this is a very popular feature we've gotten a lot of requests for, Sustainability Insights Center. How much power am I generating, and therefore how much carbon am I emitting, and what is that costing me? So very important as we try to grow sustainably, and our customers, want this available. This is one of those things. You have a platform. There's a lot of synergies that you can have when everything is under one roof, under one standard, really, right? Okay, so let's jump into our demonstration. So here I am at hpe.com, right? So I'm going to start my journey and I'm going to sign in. I'm signing in with an HPE account, put in my company name, and then here I am at I'd call this the workspace chooser. And full disclosure, I'm showing you this as pre-canned. I took this offline just to make sure we have a good, smooth presentation, but I promise you we'll also be doing live as well. So not trying to fool anybody, just wanted it to be clear and have all of the pieces so I could tell you my story. So I'm going to log into my workspace. I'm going to go to my workspace. In this case, we called it Dream Company. And by the way, everything I'm showing you, you can do yourself using the HPE demo portal, and we'll talk about that and I'll learn more at the end. So here we are on the home screen of the Dream Company. So what's our scenario? Well, number one, we wanted to have this central place to manage not just one type of hardware, but all of our networking, compute, and storage. So this is the device inventory. I like going to this screen to kind of tell you what are we talking about with the platform. This sort of, to me, visualizes it in one page, what we're able to do when you use one company providing you all of these different types of hardware, all following a standard method for presenting it in a cloud management platform. Here you can see a few ProLiant servers, some storage, the subscriptions, the region that this particular service manager was deployed in the US West. Some of the compute is deployed in, the management is deployed in the EU Central, et cetera. So there's your multi-region example. So let's go back to the home screen. We want to do something. Our solution is I have some developers, they need virtual machines. They're using a lot of public cloud resources to spin up and build, say this is a company with a retail web store. They have the desire to have customers using all kinds of mobile devices and management of inventory and imagine a retail store that has point of service and inventory that has to be tracked, and all of that has to be managed. And so they're constantly using very high, rapid development using virtual machines and clustering and Kubernetes to spin up and down things. So burning all that up in the cloud can get expensive, but they still need it. So they want to do both. So how do they do both? Use public cloud and put some of their maybe long-term projects that they don't want to have to constantly shut down their services to avoid running up the bill. So they go into their private cloud here, and I'm in the data services cloud console. And now they can use this feature. They've onboarded, we looked at that devices section, they've onboarded an array, and they launched Private Cloud Business Edition, and they hit this first dashboard. And there's a lot here, and I know you probably can't read it because there's so much information, it's a little zoomed out, but I'll just have to walk you through. You don't have to see all of the details, but what you're seeing here is they've spun up 69 private cloud VMs. So right away, they're using their local on-premise private cloud to spin up virtual machines, self-service, they do it themselves. And they also have access to 2 private cloud VMs, so they can go in there and monitor those, even spin up VMs on their public cloud. But how do they create a VM here? And again, this is something that is covered in detail in other, oops, I think I went too far. Wait 1 second here. So with this platform and this service in this platform, you can create a VM. When you go into this, it's a simple wizard. Tell it how many VMs they want to create the VM name, and you can see it's a standard flow. So going back to one of the requirements that our customers have asked for is a way to have their public and private cloud resources available to them in one unified management plane. And then also have a flow-based control where, okay, I want to create a hypervisor cluster. I want to determine where my data is, which is very important for data sovereignty. I want to determine, then it's just simple stuff that you've seen before in terms of determining how you're going to configure your VM template, and then you go and create it. So that's how you can see they can very quickly spin up a lot of public-private cloud resources in one unified tool in this one platform. So that's the core now that we've gotten to for how would I self-service, manage it myself, and also utilize a lot of automation, and how do you protect it? So this is just added bonus here. I can also utilizing this unified control plane, use disaster recovery built in. So now I can have protection groups set up. I can back up my virtual machines, create protection groups, and I can have those automatically to multiple locations. So I can set up my virtual machine appliances in location B, and then, whoa, zoom unexpected. What is so weird?
We still see you, though.
Huh, oh, that's weird. Are you seeing this error that popped
Yeah,
up?
yeah, I see it. I see it.
Weird. Okay. Okay, I'll continue on. And you still see my screen, I take it? It says I'm sharing.
Yes, we do.
So virtual machine appliances are now synced up between sites A and B. So you got your private cloud and disaster recovery. Site A goes down, very fine grain of snapshotting. So it's constantly snapshotting, active between both sites. And then when it does go down, it comes up within minutes and you're back to where you were before the disaster. So that's a very powerful tool. And then back into this same, really a private cloud toolbox here. What about just standard backups? So you've got your private cloud built, you got your disaster recovery. What about backing up on a daily basis? You can back up on-prem. You can back up into an HPE cloud protection store. You can choose to put your VMs on public cloud. So public, private, backup, and disaster recovery. So that covers well, a lot of things, right? So we've talked about how they've centralized management of all of their different types of hardware, and there's other things they can do as well, services such as OpsRamp. So this is a pure software as a service offering. So what if they also want to understand and set alerts for this hybrid cloud universe they're in that has compute and storage all over the place, and networking, and it's complicated. So that's why HPE invested in OpsRamp. So OpsRamp, and this is just one of my favorite dashboards, OpsRamp allows you to get this very high level, nice, view, pie chart view of, okay, I've got all of these different vendors that I work with all the time. I've got different hardware here, not necessarily HPE. I can quickly see my inventory of things I'm looking at. Just scratching the surface on this one. OpsRamp is incredibly powerful. And if you go to something like this command center, when you hear about it being AI enabled, this is where they're truly using, predictive analytics and machine learning to go through. You don't have time to go through, what's this, 2,000 items found in 100 pages. So what you do is you set up, learning algorithms and things that you care about. And the machine does it for you and says, oh, I'm seeing a whole bunch of repeat events. And because it has such a wide view of so many different connected parts or even disconnected parts, it can give you predictions and suggested remediation, what you need to do. And that also ties right back into the platform as well, where you can then come in here and utilize our unified support, file cases directly from the workspace. So you're using all these tools to kind of make your life easier and really enabling it at all. Things are getting so, spread out, and that type of AI help. So that covers, that's a weird Zoom thing. Okay, so I'm looking at the Q&A. Looks like Laurent, thank you for answering that. And then here's another one. What are the cost models offered by GreenLake Cloud Services if you want to use on-prem infrastructure and manage it using GreenLake interface and monitoring tools? So that's not one I would be able to answer. I would suggest talking to your local HPE representative. It's, there's so many different offers, so many different ways in which to consume, depends on really what you want to do. So cost models, there are many. If you've ever dealt with HPE GreenLake Flex solutions, many, many options available to you. So sorry, I can't really answer that question. I'm not directly in sales, but maybe somebody, an HPE person, could provide you with somebody to talk to. What functionality is available to create separated network segments, different VLANs, IP segments within on-prem environments? Well, that's 100% an Aruba based management. So if you've ever used Aruba Central, and I would not, presume to be an Aruba Central expert, but I can tell you, going into Aruba Central networking and launching this app, that's going to give you all of the things that you want to do with creating segments, VLANs, IP. I mean, the Aruba Central cloud service itself is quite amazing. So I would suggest also just going at hpe.com and searching for Aruba Central. There's a whole bunch of information about that, and that's how you would do it. And really, that's sort of, it's kind of my job is easier because I just have to know how to create and point you to this unified interface. Every one of these services manages things in a different way. So Aruba Central, how do I set up my, my segmented networking? Okay, well, you would need that service. How do I, set up my LUNs and set up my backup and recovery? Well, you need data services. How do I update the firmware on my compute? So what you're seeing here is a unified way of presenting you multiple solutions to multiple problems. And I think it's also why it may be difficult for some people to quickly answer and say, well, what is the platform? Well, it's like, well, what is your IT landscape, right? It's a lot of things, and we're just creating standards so that you can at least have a common way to access, very differently managed hardware and software services. Another one, when a customer subscribes for HPE storage, do they get a physical device shipped to their location? In that case, is it considered on-premise? Where does edge to cloud components come from for such use cases? Well, that's a great question. And basically what's happening with the subscription, you've purchased the hardware separately, and then you enable a subscription for management of the hardware. So unless you're buying a storage service, and if there's a storage service expert on the call, feel free to chime in. But there are like block as a services where you may not be tied directly to hardware, or a backup as a service where you're backing up into a cloud, right? So there's no hardware at all. So keep in mind that some services are pure software, like we talked about with OpsRamp. Some are management services for hardware that you also own or may have purchased through an HPE Flex solution, for example. So hopefully that answers your question. If we want to use GreenLake to demo some open source software that HPE is developing on NRE contracts, how would we do that? How do we ask about that? So open source software, I guess it sounds like what you want to do is have that as a service, if I understand your question correctly. So that would require developing a cloud service that allows you to do like this, OpsRamp, or the next one we're going to go into, like HPE Sustainability Insight Center. So the answer is you would have to work with HPE to develop that service and integrate it into the platform. Where can I find information how to connect my Azure subscription with GreenLake Data Services? So that one, you probably want to start with going to hpe.com and go to GreenLake Services. You may need to open up like a Q&A with a solutions architect. If you want to email me even, I will try to hook you up with the right person. The OpsRamp show in the private cloud is OpsRamp software as a service or on-prem version inside the private cloud. So the one I showed you was an OpsRamp software as a service, but connected to this this workspace via a launch. So I launched into an OpsRamp and it's running on OpsRamp servers in that workspace. In the architecture slide of the private cloud, is Morpheus CMP part of the component besides OpsRamp? Architecture slide of the private cloud. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, I know Morpheus may be involved in there, but when I talked about the private cloud, it's essentially this data services cloud console application or service of services, then launching a service within that communicates with your on-prem HPE Elytra array. So how those two pieces connect together, I'm not sure of exactly how that is instantiated, but essentially it's a service within storage that's connected to your array. Could you please explain a bit on exactly what edge to cloud means? I assume most customers have purchased physical devices, computer or storage. For those customers, how does edge to cloud work? Okay, well, let me just start with edge to cloud. Most customers have purchased physical devices. Okay, so my favorite edge to cloud explanation would be, let's say you work for Starbucks or you own a chain of Starbucks and you want to buy networking as a service. Now, what does that mean? What is this? The cloud being demoed as PCE or Private Cloud Business Edition. So yes, there is another product called Private Cloud Enterprise. That's not what I'm talking about here. This is Private Cloud Business Edition. So edge to cloud means that you have data being generated at the edge, you have compute at the edge. Let's say you're a Home Depot and you have retail stores, you have at the edge just tons of compute resources to manage all the hardware. You've got all of the point of service transactions. That's at the edge. It's actually a little miniature edge data center. Perhaps you've also you have lots of networking equipment there to run all of this stuff and keep you connected back to your colo or your private cloud or your public cloud. So all of that's edge. So how do you get that data, manage it in a unified way, and also allow managed service providers to also sell those things like the networking as a service? Well, the managed service provider could purchase networking and other gear from us and then resell it as a service to, say, Home Depot or Starbucks or something like that. And they're selling them edge hardware. And they're also utilizing the managed service provider functionality of this platform to say, okay, I'm going to set up customer accounts. I'm going to own all the hardware, and I'm going to share that to my customers that have all these edge locations. And they also need to do analytics on all of their purchasing and do predictions for upcoming, sales and that kind of thing. So that's edge to cloud, right? It's connecting together your edge networking, your edge compute, your edge data to your cloud or your on-prem. And really, I like the word hybrid because it's not just edge, it's not just cloud, it's not just data center, it's all of the above. Where can I find information about the, Fred's going to answer that. How are support and availability attributes set up, such as support response time, problem resolution, mission critical, et cetera, to meet availability and service level needs? Well, that's part of your contract whenever you buy anything from HPE. That's not changed. It's just that you have in this one unified place. You don't have to go to multiple different places to start a start resolution, open a case. Unified case management is one of the main goals of this platform, to make it easier for people to get to support and say, here's the workspace I was working on, here's the issue I had, and then they will route you to the specific person that needs help. Morpheus is some degree part of dedicated service that you can contract from HPE called HPE GreenLake for Private Cloud Enterprise. Okay, that's Florian giving that answer. That's cool. Is our Private Cloud Business Edition include managed hybrid cloud economics for FinOps purpose? Yeah, that's a question for maybe the last person that answered that. How does GreenLake allow you to provision pre-built OS images to bare metal, which you have on-prem? So there is a way to do that as well. If you want to use the GreenLake Flex, or not GreenLake Flex solutions, I think some of them, and you have a tenant, used to be called GreenLake Central, and then you can purchase purely managed by HPE the hardware, and you can buy VM as a service and choose different VM images like that. So that's a way to do it.
Did you want to discuss the poll results? I'm sharing it right now. So
okay, let's talk about it. All right, so how are we doing on time too? 8:40. Okay, so Don's poll. So what was the question on this? Okay, do you utilize a public or private cloud platform to manage your IT resources? I guess that was kind of a dumb question. Do you utilize a public or private? Well, yes, I use both. So I guess the question was kind of dumb. I should have said, do you use a public cloud? Yes. Do you use a private cloud? Yes. So 60% of the people powered through that question and said yes. Which public platform do you use most? Okay, AWS, obviously. And look at that, 35% Azure, Google Cloud, and third. So I would say this is right on the money of what we all, I think, intuitively understand. Which of the following is the most important feature of a cloud platform? Okay, this is interesting. Ability to onboard hardware, that's interesting. Ability to quickly deploy VM resources on-prem. Okay, so hopefully we've shown you some ways you can do that. Gain visibility into my IT. So let's see, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Thank you for participating in that. And other, feel free to throw that out into the chat. I think we can capture that chat. I'll be sharing this with the product managers. So this is our chance to kind of directly get your feedback, and you actually will determine, the future course of the product with your feedback. So if you want somebody to talk to the people that build this thing, feel free to share your any more insights in the chat. Like, what was other for you? I'd be very curious. Okay, so I'm gonna shift off of Q&A for just a second. We still have time to finish off this. There's a few things I want to hit with API, and hopefully this has been helpful to you guys. Last thing I wanted to show, just to finish the story off, like, the customer built their on-prem VMs, and they're managing their hybrid infrastructure with OpsRamp. And then I mentioned sustainability. Just a quick splash to say, how would I, now that I have all this stuff on the central platform, how do I, look at consumption? So here, I like this because it's a very stark, simple. You got carbon, you got energy consumption and energy cost, and you can drill down, filter by dates. You can export the report. So it's a nice feature. Again, a synergy of our company following a unified standard for how to manage IT resources in this hybrid cloud universe. And I think that might have been, yeah. So now I'm looped around back to the beginning of my little pre-can demo. But now, as promised, I'm going to go into some more real stuff, nerd things, show you how this stuff really works. So we'll just put this aside for now. Okay, so I'm bringing this back over. So here, again, I logged in. This is me logged into as me. This is the live platform, Common Cloud, hpe.com. So I am a customer of the platform right now. You can see a fairly similar dashboard here. If you look at my device count, this is the one that we use internally for people like me and product managers and solutions engineers to go out and poke around on a live thing and show it to their customers as well. I only have 16 devices here, but they're all over the place. Some of them are in Houston, some of them maybe in San Jose. I'm not actually even sure, but these are all real pieces of hardware, and that allows us to be able to showcase it. One thing that's interesting, I have thousands of people. So when you go to the manage workspace, you can look at users and you can see quickly I have 1,236 users, 869 of them are active. So this is an interesting kind of sandbox to play in. So what did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about the developer portal and API. So what if you wanted to not do these things that I'm doing with a point and click? If you want to programmatically manage your cloud resources, you got to have API. It's critical. Cloud and API go hand in hand. So we keep this hyperlink to learn more here. This is your active developer portal. And it's kind of cool because you can actually run API commands live on here. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I'm a developer and I want to create some automated scripting, build it into my, my IT infrastructure, my CI/CD pipelines, this is the first place that the developers are going to go. And again, DDA, Denny, and team did a really awesome API. So I'm not going to reproduce what they did. Just show you a quick, I want to look at the audit logs. What have people been doing in my workspace? And I want to write a little piece of code to do that. So if I want to do that, I go into the actual API reference here. If you have any familiarity with REST API, this should look familiar to you. It's like a standard Swagger type interface. But here, ultimately what's happening is you're sending a secure command that's been verified to the Common Cloud Platform, to the workspace, and it's all figured out and secured through a thing called a bearer token. So how do you get that token? So and some of these things you have to request access to. This is sort of launched darkly right now for this particular feature I'm going to show you. But what did I do? I went back to my platform. I went to this workspace name. I said manage. And here's a lot of those common tools I told you about in the architecture slide. Now for API, what do I want to do? Well, and this is for you to learn later. And I think DDA team, they're creating some awesome API workshops on demand. So you'll be able to do this yourself. So I created a credential, very easy. I just followed the instructions. Once you've created a credential and it's got my client ID, I can generate an access token. And to generate the access token, I have the secret I created previously. And I just pop it in here. And this, once I've got that, I've got my token. I can go back to, and I'm doing all this live, by the way, this isn't a recording. And I just pasted my token in there. And let's see, I don't have any parameters for this particular one. No, I don't want you to do that. And I hit send. Did I do it right? Okay, sending, yes, I didn't screw it up live. Yay! So it's sending that, and now I got data back. So data from computers is boring, but it comes in this nice little, okay, what did I do? I did an audit log, user Donald Wake with client ID blah. What did he do? Okay, he's the credential management. What are some of the things that's been going on? Oh, loaded workspace. Who loaded workspace? So here I'm kind of doing some auditing real time. And that's neat. And this is a way for you to quickly understand how to utilize the API, some of the things it can do, based upon the services. So the first thing I did, I like Python. So I went over here and I said, I want to create my own script. I don't want to be on this website. I want to pretend I'm a real developer. So I copied the Python. And then I opened up Visual Studio Code. And I pretended I was smart. And went in here. And so I copied that code. And you can see here, this is just, 37 lines of scripting, right? The harder part was getting Visual Studio Code set up in the right version of Python and all that nerd stuff. But I imported two libraries, requests and JSON, because I knew there was a JSON preprint function I wanted to use so I could actually read it like a human. And I just went back to that developer portal and copied the URLs that I wanted. And then I went in here and basically just expanded on the code I copied from the example. So, and I created this really dumb, like I said, I'm pretending to be smart, static bearer token. I think I copied it in the same one I pasted there. And then I just hit run in Visual Studio Code. Looks like it's working. I put like little headers around stuff. Oh, had a problem with that one. Oh, I think I was debugging that. yeah, I think that device's URL I screwed up, but the audit log one, so I can mark that out. But I can look at my subscriptions. I can look at my audit log. Run that again. So again, this is just, again, there's lots of, there you go. So you see it kind of spitting out the data. And then if I go to my my command line, I can run it directly here, and then I can do things like send it to an output file. And you can see how this now gets built into an automation project and part of a pipeline, and all of the things that computers do for you. That is great. So you can see here, now I could just I'm outside that web thing, and I got it in the text editor of my choice. Okay, I called this audit log. I see my username, and you can imagine now using programmatic tools, you can start parsing strings and looking for, oh, who's doing what, and maybe I should send this person an email. So you can imagine the automation capabilities there. So I think that's basically the core of what I wanted to cover. We're 10 minutes out, and I think we still had a ton of questions that we can go through. People can come off mute, I think, if they wanted to ask anything generally. Ronald Dharma, nice demo. Thank you, Ronald. Appreciate that. I stopped sharing, didn't I? So I should probably at least bring up my slide deck so it's not super boring for you guys. Oh yeah, I wanted to cover a few other things in terms of learn more. So that's screen 2, share. Hopefully you see my screen again. Looks like you can. So we did that scenario, and then here is learn more links. And so I'll make sure that DDA and team has this, so you can click on the links from an actual PowerPoint presentation. And I think we can provide this, right, DDA? I'm not sure. Does HPE manage customer accounts? Thank you for the demo. Well, there is a way that you can use professional services to handle the account for you, but typically we work with partners, and so we have this whole concept of a managed service provider, and it's actually a framework that goes over the top of the workspace, and then say a networking company that sells networking to other companies would be our customer. They'd take care of all of the subscriptions, and then they would sell networking as a service through Aruba Central, for example, and they would manage customer stuff, but they would still give the customer an account. So say you're at Starbucks and you just wanted to change the IP address or something of your cash register, or you wanted to look at monitoring your networking gear, you can use Aruba Central's managed service provider, customer account to do that. So that's typically how to do that. So let me go through some of these Q&As. So I don't have an answer to that one. Does GreenLake allow you to provision pre-built? I think I answered that one. How frequent the sustainability center dashboard being updated daily, hourly? That's a good question. I think it's sub-hourly. I'll have to take that question back to the product manager. I should know that. Why the connectivity endpoint is marked with NA. Was that an API question? I'm not sure what that means, but I don't know. It may have just been a test thing. Why don't we have unified converged common set of API through GreenLake Cloud Platform plus Aruba, DSC, COM, OpsRamp, and unified Swagger type of thing for all products? That's an excellent question, Mr. Bernheim, and it's because it's being developed. There are APIs available for all of the the lower level services, and it takes time to just unify everybody to one standard. So what I showed you today was the unified API for platform management, and what you will see over the coming months, years is a unification, so that same Swagger interface as you asked for will apply to everything. But it's simply coming. We have numerous APIs due to certain integration, including using Morpheus to integrate, automate certain apps, and we use API security software to scan and discover any API security vulnerabilities like Akamai, et cetera. So that's a good question for, I guess you're asking about how would you, if we have numerous APIs, how do you ensure security of all of them? So that's a question for unified API. How are we going to offer a secure unified API across everything? Well, each one of the individual APIs is secured. It's just not like to the previous person's question, the standard, the way that you structure the calls and all that right now is not 100% unified, but it is moving fast. And it looks like Paul answered this question for the GreenLake customer. So I think we've covered it. Or I get myself in more trouble. Is there anything more I should do? What time is it? It's 55. We got 5 minutes left. Anybody else want to talk about coffee or anything? That's my presentation.
That's good, Don. Maybe we can take a few more questions if they show up now, and otherwise I will launch the end of session poll. And if people are kind enough, they give us feedback, so we know if this was useful, what we need to change, that kind of thing. So take half a second to respond to these 3 simple questions. Thank you. There's a question about graphical representation, but I'm not too sure about graphical representation of what.
Are there any graphical representations planned? Well, I did show a lot of the web UI during the presentation. So that's a GUI. It's a web-based console that allows you to point and click. That's how I did the majority of the presentation. And then I'm not sure if you mean some sort of a GUI-based API or something. I mean, that's where the Swagger interface comes from. But unless you're talking about having some sort of a downloadable graphical tool or something, there's no plans for that. It's all web-based. There was a question about, do you have some kind of subscription with, do you have to have some kind of subscription with HPE to connect your Azure AWS? Yes, I guess would be the short answer with respect to in context of the private cloud business edition. So that feature I showed you where you could connect up to AWS, that was a feature that was built into the private cloud business edition service. And so the customer in this case would have AWS, and they would also have a subscription to the data services cloud console and the private cloud business edition services.
There's somebody asking about in the chat about demo portal. Did you put that in the links of your links page?
I did. It's
okay.
in my it's in the thing.
Oh, to answer your question earlier, yes, we'll make the slides available as PDF, so they'll be able to click on the link.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Very cool.
Maybe later today or tomorrow.
Okay. Wait a second. Oh, yeah. I think I'm getting myself confused in the waning moments here. I think I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
So back to the demo portal. That's where I learn how to do things. Whenever anybody new comes on the team, I immediately point them to the demo portal. It's open to customers and partners, NHP employees. Some of the things that I showed may not be available directly to customers, but would be available to partners. So, but this is a great place to go. Oh, and also if you want to play around with the code, DDA and team have created some cool code that I also borrowed to learn how to write my own Python or shell scripts or power scripts, whatever you want to do. Go to developer.hpe.com, of course, to see a plethora of tools and things that you can learn.
We actually have 4 blogs coming up in the next few days on using the GreenLake APIs, so stay tuned. All right.
I never juggled my honey badgers, so just crap. I really don't want them to break. I ordered them on Amazon right after I posted that on LinkedIn. But those are my honey badgers. Yeah, anyway, I put a little joke in my LinkedIn. That's why I said that.
Yes. Thank you, Don. That was great. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think we'll stop now. I have a good response rate for the poll, so thank you very much. And we'll talk to you for the meetup or for next month's Munch and Learn. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.